What's going on, y'all? I'm going to show you a quick little video on why these interfaces are much different, why they sound different, their frequency responses. A lot of this stuff you can just read the manual of these interfaces and see for yourself, but I'm going to go down the list of mine. Check it out. Here's the Neve MBC. It has a silk color to it, silk transformer. You can cut it on, cut it off. Pretty much you're going to get that Neve sound when you run anything through this converter here. I love it. Great sounding unit. Okay, here's the X6 and the X16. The X16 is an A to D, D to A converter. It is transparent. It has a wider dynamic range than the X6. The X6 is like an I/O almost when you use these two pieces in unison, right? The X6 is an interface. It has a slight color to it. The X16, which is a D to A, A to D converter, has no color to it at all. Has no color, none. What you do, you run these two in unison. Use this Apollo 6 as X6 as the I/O. Use the X16 as a converter. That's how it works, right? It even says that in the manual. It tells you that to maximize the sound of universal audio equipment, use both of them in unison. Okay, here's the analog converter right here. The analog converter has a crispier sound to it. A crispier sound is kind of good at taming those real punchy low-end sounds. I kind of like how it does it. It does it in a musical way, but you're not going to get that punch and power using this analog. It's kind of, I wouldn't say real thin, it's just a little crispier than the other interfaces, but the crispiness you can utilize on the low end to eliminate those heavy, punchy, low end sounds. Now here's the Apogee right here, the Apogee Big Bend. I use this as a clock and digital converter. The Apogee sound, I would just run audio in and out of this while having it clocked. I love it because this thing here, even though it's an older unit, it has beautiful separation. I use that unit in unison with this Motu right here. The Motu has a console sound, but the low end just didn't have the separation that I wanted using its internal converter, so I clocked it using the Apogee converter, and it's amazing. I mean, you get instant separation, wider dynamic range. It's not as loud as the Apollo X16, but you get that separation, man. You don't have those frequencies clashing with one another. That's why I love the combination of these two units. And of course, another thing why I switched, because it's USB and it has that console sound. Sometimes you want to add the console sound. You don't want the console sound already in your sound. You want to add that to the sound, and I'm going to show you why that's important right here. Okay, well, here is the Burl B2 Bomber right here. It's an A to D converter and Dante interface. What I like about the Burl, it has a tape sound to it, a nice tape saturation sound to it. It's subtle, but you can hear it, and it's musical. That's why I like the Burl. And the low end, oh man, the saturation it gives the low end is magic. I love it. That's why I got it. It has a different sound, its own color to it. The Solaris Crane Song. This is a D to A converter. The Burl, A to D converter. The Solaris has no color at all. That's what I want. I don't want anything with color to it when I go from the A to D to A stage. That's why the X16, which is an A to D to A converter, has no color to it, because you want transparency and clarity when you're when it comes to conversion. You don't want color. A lot of these interfaces have their own unique sound and color. That's what they don't explain to you. Like the interface and a to D, D to A converter are two different things, right? These are dedicated converters, right? Your interface, some may have a digital in and digital out, but they don't have an AES in or out. They don't have 16 ins and outs. You know, they have sporadic ins and outs and maybe a couple of preamps. That's it. It's not a dedicated box. You want something that's a dedicated box to maximize your sound quality. Like the links. The links here is an A to D, D to A converter and interface. I use it as an interface and standalone unit. This has no color to it at all. What I love about the links is what you put in is what you get out of it. And there's no clashing of the low end frequencies. I mean, when I run analog signal through this thing here, some of my other units like my Mo 2, you have the sides all clashing with that punchy, heavy sound coming from the sides, where you have to EQ and tighten that low end so you won't have that stereo punch coming out of the sides. This doesn't have that. That links, for some reason, it just keeps everything tight. Everything remains tight and solid, and that's why I love this piece of gear. It's a reason why I have this, because I'm gonna tell you something. I can't stand crackling sounds like the Black Lion Audio. Great interface, great sound from certain frequency ranges, but the low end, it has that crackling sound around that 30 hertz on down range. I don't like that. I like smooth, transparent bass sounds. I do A/B tests with a lot of my beats to see if they compete with the commercial sound. And that's the problem with a lot of y'all producers and engineers. You don't A and B your music, man. Listen to the commercial sounds and compare your mix with their mixes. You can see the difference. You can hear it. You can see if you try to mix something with FL Studio, that ain't it. It's not going to work, bro. It's not going to work. It's not going to work if you solely in the box. You will never achieve the same sound as those professional mixes when you do an A and B test. It won't happen. It won't happen. I'm telling you right now, I tried it, and that's the main reason why I just said, you know what, I'm just going to get the right gear. And ever since I bought the right gear, I haven't had any issues with that. None. So that's all I have for you today. Check you next time. Peace.